Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. Dear friends, I will present to you 9 principles that I consider to be fundamental for the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental rights in any vibrant democracy. And I will close with one potentially surprising conclusion. Principle number 1. In a democracy, it is the citizens that can observe, monitor, and judge the thoughts and the actions of their governments on a daily basis. Not the governments that can control, monitor, and judge the thoughts and the actions of the citizens on a daily basis. If instead of the first you go to the second, you have a danger in democracy. Principle number 2. In order to fulfill the function of monitoring and judging, citizens must have free access to all available information on any particular topic, including on the debate on any particular information, and on different opinions that may exist in society. Citizens also must have the right to affect that debate, participate in it, change that debate through the freedom to speak, to express themselves, to associate in the society. Principle number 3. In a democracy, having access to information and to a debate means, has a prerequisite, if you like, a free and independent press and a free and independent internet. Therefore, protecting journalists from harassment, from harm, let alone from being killed, is a fundamental prerequisite for a vibrant democracy and for any government. Preventing arbitrary punishment of people who discuss or disseminate information through the internet equally has to be protected. Principle number 4. The freedom of ordinary citizens to assemble freely, as inscribed in international human rights conventions, makes sense, especially when the opinions that they express are controversial, are unpopular, or even at times offensive. If we all in this room agree, it makes no sense to be talking about freedom of expression. We agree. What is to protect? Freedom of expression makes sense when we disagree. And it makes particular sense when we disagree extremely. When what I say makes you very angry, or what you say makes me very angry. And it makes particular sense if I have the power or the authority to be able to silence you or to punish you if you say something that makes me angry. That's when freedom of expression makes sense. To say that you can speak freely, but only if you do not question my authority, question my power, question my decisions. You can speak freely only if you do not reveal corruption, only if you don't reveal mismanagement, is to turn the notion of freedom of expression on its head. Principle number 5. Free speech today occurs increasingly through the internet. Indeed, the internet has become the arena, the area through which we exercise a number of our fundamental rights. Freedom of expression, freedom of political participation, freedom of assembly, the right to education. More and more citizens around the world today exercise those rights through the internet. This, in my view, can mean only one thing, that all the rights that we enjoy offline should be exactly the same rights that we enjoy online. That means that if you cannot spy on me or violate my private life offline, you should not be able to spy on me or violate my private life online. Now, some authorities say, why? What is the problem with surveillance? Are you a terrorist? Are you a child pornographer? No. I answer, of course I'm not. Well, then they say, what's the problem? If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. To which I answer, if you have nothing to hide, you don't have a life. Get a life. We all have something to hide, something perfectly legal to hide. If you have nothing to hide, give me your credit card information. What is it? If you have nothing to hide, who have been your boyfriends or your girlfriends the past 10 years? Names, numbers, here. If you have nothing to hide, what do you vote? Yeah, the vote is secret, but I want to know. What do you vote? We all have something legal to hide. That's why privacy rules are in place. Principle number 6. Freedom of expression under international law indeed is not absolute. It may be limited, but, and this is a huge but, only exceptionally, only for very specific prescribed reasons, and only under very specific prescribed and independent procedures. So, for example, I may not freely say things that are both intended to and can reasonably incite violence. But any measure taken against such speech must be absolutely necessary to prevent a bigger harm, not just useful. And it must be proportionate to what it is trying to achieve. And it must be clearly prescribed by prior law. Principle number 7. Who makes these delicate decisions that I described before? Is it the governments? Is it the police? It cannot be the governments or the police. A government cannot be both the accuser and the judge. These decisions in a vibrant democracy are made by an independent judiciary or by independent authorities. They have to be. Now, this is why in a democracy it is of paramount importance to have a judiciary that is independent, that is well trained, that is of high quality and integrity, and that is free from political influence. If such a judiciary does not exist, then even the most perfect laws, even the most well-drafted laws are subject to abuse. Principle number 8. This danger of abuse is even greater when the laws are not perfect, when they are poorly drafted, broad, or ambiguous. Because then, something at least as bad as outright suppression of speech can occur, and that is the chilling of free speech. That is me being afraid to speak, me staying at home instead of going out and participating in public life because I'm afraid of the consequences. To go from fear to voluntary submissiveness, that is the big danger of broad and ambiguous legislation. Principle number 9, and final principle. NGOs are the watchdogs of any democratic society. They often fight against this kind of submissiveness. They are a major hub of democratic engagement of citizens in a huge variety of topics, many of which in the end often touch upon sensitive issues of government policy and practice. NGOs can be nice if they want to, but they don't have to be nice. What they have to do, what they try to do, is push democratic decision-making and the exercise of state or local power in issues that they're interested in, whether it's the environment or violence against women or these issues we mentioned, in the appropriate direction. Now, in a democracy, again, a government is under no obligation to like everything NGOs say, and is under no obligation to apply everything NGOs say. But a government is under an absolute obligation, in my view at least, of allowing a free function of the NGOs, free participation in them, the free expression of their views, without any intimidation and any interference. These are the 9 principles. Now this is the potentially surprising conclusion. Almost everything that I have told you here today, I have already said in numerous speeches, at numerous occasions, as Vice President of the European Parliament, as Foreign Minister of Greece, or as a simple citizen, in Brussels, in Athens, in Berlin, in the United States, in a number of countries and a number of organizations around the world. I'm not just saying them here in St. Petersburg, I'm not just saying them here in Russia. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not mean to imply that all countries are equally vigilant at the protection of human rights, or all countries are equally guilty for violating them. I believe that some countries are better or worse than others. I am proud, for example, of Europe's efforts to protect and to promote fundamental rights. But I do believe that no country or organization is perfect in this respect, including the EU. So I guess the bottom line is this. I could make these points, I could give these fights in Europe, I could clash with European and other governments, both as a member of parliament and as an individual, private individual, without feeling intimidated, without being silenced, without being threatened, without fearing that someone would drag me to court, fine me, imprison me, accusing me of being a traitor to Greece or a traitor to the EU. I could hold these views openly, and I could try. Maybe I was wrong sometimes, maybe I was right sometimes, but I could try to change the policy of my country and of the European Union. These are the rights that I think everyone around the world should enjoy, in the same way that I did and do. And for a democracy, this may in the end be the ultimate test. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you today. I encourage you to have really open and really passionate discussions. With Mikhail Fedotov, we met yesterday indeed, and it was an exceptional meeting. I'm very grateful to you for it, and I look forward to continuing our discussions. Our European Union Ambassador of Venezuela here in Moscow is also on a daily basis promoting Russian-EU relations in an exceptionally good way, and I'm very pleased to be here with him as well. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much for listening.
Большое спасибо Ставросу Ламбринидису.